Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Monday, July 13th, 2015. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. Well, global stock markets are up. American futures are also up. The stock market will open in about 45 minutes. This is all because after a marathon 17-hour negotiating session that ended at about 9 a.m. this morning in Brussels, a deal has been reached between Greece and its creditors. The leaders of the 19 Eurozone countries thrashed out an agreement that will require Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras to capitulate on virtually all of his anti-austerity demands. The deal will hand Greece its third bailout package since 2010. In a press conference that began early today in Brussels, German Chancellor Angela Merkel said the deal was worth as much as 87 billion euros over the next 3 years. The agreement marks a dramatic reversal for both Germany and Greece. Germany's finance minister Wolfgang Schäuble had been pushing for Greece's suspension from the Eurozone for 5 years. He had lost all trust in the Greek negotiating team. Meanwhile, Mr. Tsipras' radical left-wing Syriza government, which was elected in January with a mandate to end austerity, got nothing. Instead, it's going to get more austerity and more debt in exchange for a bailout that will keep it in the Eurozone and its banks alive. In the end, Mr. Tsipras had very little choice because about 80% of Greeks want to keep the euro. The key point to the deal, apparently, is a transfer of some 50 billion euros of Greek assets to a fund that will be monetized through privatizations and by managing those assets from ports to utilities in a manner that will maximize their profits. The fund will be based in Greece and run by Greeks with oversight from their creditors. So it looks as if this has finally resolved itself. Now it has to get through the respective parliaments of the European countries. The key here will be Germany, and it looks as if the German Bundestag is going to support Mrs. Merkel. Meanwhile, there was news flashing across the internet yesterday that an agreement had been reached in the nuclear talks with Iran that apparently was a little bit premature. They appear closer to a nuclear deal. It may be announced today. However, according to Western sources, there are still some remaining issues on the table that are quite difficult. If a deal is announced, the negotiation then has to be formalized, and it would have to pass the U.S. Congress, which is going to require some difficulty. Apparently, there's word from Israel this morning indicating that they are resigned to the acceptance of a quote-unquote bad deal, which means that the Israelis may be put into a position where they will actually act as Prime Minister Netanyahu has been saying he would if a bad deal was put in place. In Russia this morning, there was a collapse of a military barracks in Omsk in Siberia that killed 23 Russian Special Forces soldiers. The Defense Ministry won't speculate on the cause of the accident, but photos and video from the scene show an entire section of the barracks lying in ruins. The Defense Ministry said the building was renovated in 2013, but insists that that could not have caused the collapse. The pictures are quite dramatic. It looks as if one whole section has actually just been flattened. There was a Monday morning 5.7 earthquake in Japan. It struck southern Oita prefecture earlier today. It registered a high 5 on the Japanese seismic intensity scale of 7. It was mainly focused in the city of Saiki in Oita prefecture. No reports of any tsunami or damage. It was at 2:52 a.m. local time, so it was before people were in the office. French police are hunting for 3 armed men who stormed a Primark clothing store in a northern suburb of Paris this morning. It was a suspected robbery attempt. The gunman fled the scene after 18 hostages, mainly store employees, were being held. French special forces evacuated 18 people from the building. It's a little bit conflicting as to what happened, whether the gunman fled the scene before the raid occurred or not. None of the 18 people were injured. Reinsurance broker JLT Re is reporting that its property catastrophe premium rate online index for Florida saw an 8.5% decline at the June 2015 renewals. The 8.5% decline is a far slower drop than seen for the previous 2 seasons, but it's the 4th year in a row that property cat rates have dropped. The broker said that it remains clear that the rates, even though they have now continued to drop for 3 or 4 years, still remain above the lows seen in the late 1990s, which is a key reason why markets in Florida property cat, i.e. hurricane risk, continue to say that there is still some margin in the business. Oddly enough, when everybody is sweltering up here in the northern hemisphere, we can't forget that it's winter down under. Winter has arrived with a vengeance across eastern Australia, prompting severe weather warnings for parts of Victoria and New South Wales. It's even brought snow into parts of South Queensland. The icy weather blasted across the southeast part of Australia, bringing some of the coldest weather in decades, as overnight temperatures dropped way below freezing in many areas. The bitter conditions are expected to last for much of the week. Snow fell widely in areas across Victoria and New South Wales. Blizzard conditions developed with winds approaching 60 miles an hour at times. Livestock farmers are now apparently being forced to feed their livestock by hand. In addition to that, it's provided some difficulty for, of course, transport. The only people apparently who are happy are the ski resorts and the alpine regions. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.